to St. Louis now.
Oh no! Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to have our next episode in the series of epic epic comebacks. Yes. Now this battle, oh man. So I had been playing ships this morning, early in the morning, I guess. Anyway, and running between the Roon and the Hiryu. I do now have the Hiryu. That's a whole other can of worms. But anyway, defeats all around. I finally got into this battle, and I was determined to do whatever I possibly could to make sure that we win, and it turned into a pretty great replay. So you can see we are on Sea of Fortune now. Sea of Fortune is one of the another higher tier map here. Interesting map. The most interesting part of this map that I find is the landmass on the the western side of B. You see how those islands sort of come together. They form in, and there's a tiny little narrow channel in there that some cruisers can squeeze into. I think in this game a Colorado attempts to squeeze through as well. I'm not sure if the player made it, because the player does die. So there's that, which makes it interesting, which, you know, if you're looking at it from strategical standpoint here, it would mean that B and C would be the easier caps to hold, because then essentially you have a bottleneck from anything that's coming from A, right? You have it through the center, the north, or the south, so there's that taken into account. I wasn't 100% sure where the team was going. I figured that it would probably go over to A, and if we look in the mini-map, it does kind of look that way. Excuse me. Now, I do have this Nagato right next to me, and I didn't want to run into him, but at the same time as well, you know, it does give me time to think about what I wanted to do here, because if we look at the minimap, and if we look how the team is dispersing up, we do see that there are some ships that are going to be in C, or to the south of C. Now, these ships really made me angry, and I didn't actually notice these ships. They're the Turpuses, or Turpi, I don't know, the battleships. I didn't notice it until someone in chat points it out later on in the battle, but those guys do a whole lot of nothing. Which I guess isn't completely surprising. I mean, we'll see. We'll see as the battle develops. But anyway, gives me time to think. What do I want to do? So yeah, I'm not going into A. I've resigned myself to that fact. Not going into A. It's going to limit a lot of my fire. I'm only going to be able to fire at ships at or around A, as opposed to if I stay on the other side of these islands, I can fire at ships at B and C. So that's what I'm going to do. Now we do see some ships coming up, right? And the ships that are coming into A, encroaching on it as well, yeah, they're within my range. So I'm going to take some pot shots off at them, but I'm going to be careful, like I say, not to go on to the western side of those land masses. Just not going to happen. So we do start making our turn to port here, or to starboard as well. Man, we do continue our turn to starboard here. So, you know, see the Mogami off in the distance. Wasn't expecting a whole lot. Didn't really want to be the first person spotted, but you can see I'm still not really spotted at this point in time, so that's not too bad. There we go. Now I'm spotted. The Mogami must have had, you know, a bit of a landmass there. Get one nice citadel on the Mogami, so that's not too bad. I get some more shots that go in, which do some not a whole lot of damage, but at least now, you know, a better sense as to how fast the Mogami's going, and what exactly I need to do to lead the target. In the meantime as well, you can see on the minimap that I am sailing towards the southeast. I do get another citadel there in the Mogami, which isn't too bad at all. Get some more shots, sneaky shots that is over the island, which isn't too bad, and there's another citadel on the Mogami. So excellent. The Mogami is down to half health. Fantastic. There's a Colorado, a Nagato rather. We can see, yeah, the Colorado is actually going to be over in A. We'll see him later. But the Nagato. Now, Tier 7 battleship versus a Tier 9 cruiser that has amazing armor piercing. Yeah, it's not going to go so well for this Nagato. I always find it funny. It doesn't happen in this, but it does happen when people start raging out, battleship drivers start raging out about cruisers being able to take down a battleship using armor piercing faster than a battleship can take down the cruiser. Oh, it's hilarious. Anyway, get a few shots into the Nagato there, do a bit of damage, which isn't too bad. In the meantime, my team does manage to take the B cap, which is great. We do still have a lot of useless ships there at the south of C who aren't pushing in. Now, to be I guess fair, or to counterpoint that, I don't actually push into C. Now, I don't really have the option of pushing into C because I want to do what I can to make sure we win. But if I die right off the bat, what use is that? So I can't really push into C myself. I've sort of made my stand here at the south of B. This way, I'm able to harass C, and more importantly, in my mind anyway, at this point in time, be able to hold and secure B. So we do have an enemy Sims who pops up. I do have armor piercing loaded. I'm not going to be switching over to high explosive. I mean, this guy isn't going to be in front of me too long, or so I thought. So whatever, right? And I've got this mountain. I'll fire off some torpedoes just in case the Sims does decide to cruise over there and get hit by them. There we see, was that a battleship who shot high explosive at me? It's possible. But it's crazy when these things happen. There we see the Colorado, actually, who is right in front of us, trying to push through the little channel. We do see the other battleship there off in the distance. The Nagato now has slowed behind this little landmass here, which I'm not 100% sure what the player is doing, but okay, whatever. I see a Baltimore, and I start thinking to myself, I feel so sorry for these Baltimore drivers. Every time I fire into a Baltimore and I get a Citadel, I assume that Baltimore captain is cringing. What is going on, basically. Just waiting to get the Des Moines, and then the Des Moines is pretty damn good, I'm not going to lie, but, it does take a bit of work to get that ship to actually perform for you. So, even once you get into the Des Moines, it's not over yet, my friend. Anyway, we see a bit of a clusterfuck over there for the enemies. The Turpets and the Baltimore seem to have grounded themselves. I put some shots off into the Megami in the distance, hoping to get another Citadel there. The Turpets does end up grounding himself, which is not the best move on that player's behalf. Now, in the meantime, the enemies have taken A, and they have taken C. Now, we do still hold B, which is great, but we do still have, a lot of useless battleships right now. And I don't want to be too mean, I suppose, or too hateful, but it is fairly useless what they're doing over there, frankly. Anyway, the Nagato off in the distance once again. Now, obviously, this Nagato has his guns pointing directly at me. We can see his shots incoming. I thought it was going to be all over at this time. I put some shots into the Nagato. Don't do that much damage. Nagato put shots into me. It's not so bad. Not so bad. I do still have two repair heal abilities, I guess, remaining. So there's that as well, right? I can use those once it comes down off cooldown. About 30 seconds on that, which isn't too bad. And in the meantime, we do still hold B. Now, it does look as though the enemies are making their stand sort of at C. So again, good idea. I didn't actually charge in there to C and start capping it. But we do still have some enemies that are, they've taken A and they're pushing and putting pressure on B now. So we have to be aware of these people as well. And this isn't that great of a situation because now, we might be subject to fire from both sides, which is never a good situation. We have the Nagato once again off in the distance, so I start putting more shots into the Nagato, do a bit more damage to the player, and I'm sure he's happy about that. Now, we do have the Turpets coming up here, so I'm going to put some damage into the Turpets here as well. Kind of freaking out with the old X key, right? You can see it targeting and not targeting. That's my own stupidity, but anyway, we've got the Turpets. Now, I really don't want to go broadside to the Turpets, so I'm going to have to make a hard port turn here. In the meantime, I'm going to fire off my torpedoes at the Turpets because I fully expect the Turpets to continue along where he is. I mean, he's basically in a little channel in between these two land masses, so unless he grounds himself to avoid the torpedoes, he is going to hit the torpedoes. In the meantime, Turpets has shots incoming for me, so this kind of sucks. Take a bit of damage there. You can see I got down to about half health, but luckily able to use the heal ability, and we start healing ourselves. Hopefully, this is going to pay off. Now, we do have the Turpets being focused down by a lot of my team members here, so, don't really have to worry about the player. I do have the torpedoes on the way for the Turpets, but they don't actually come into play here. My teammates managed to finish the Turpets before they're needed. Now, because of the little action over there with the Turpets and trying to avoid giving them full-on broadside, I find myself encroaching on A, so interesting. Now, I do find myself also a Tier 9 Russian cruiser in reverse. I'm excited for my Tier 9 Russian cruiser, I'm not going to lie, but every time I seem to come across a Russian cruiser, I seem to just obliterate these people with Citadels. I don't know exactly, maybe the Russian... I didn't expect, I guess I should say, the Russian cruiser to have really that great armor. The line doesn't have good armor. But I wouldn't expect, players to be driving in reverse in Russian cruisers either, so... I don't know. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see on that one. So the Russian cruiser goes down. That's fantastic. We do have this enemy Miyoko off in the distance. Now, the Miyoko does fire in some high explosive and does set me on fire. Now, I wasn't too concerned about this Miyoko, to be totally honest. I figured that with this salvo here that would pretty much kill the Miyoko. I was dreaming. Did about 11,000. Now things start to get a little interesting for me here. I do have an enemy Roon to face off against, and I'm at about half health, so things aren't going so great. So I do about 7,000 damage in that one salvo, and I have to try to make sure that I'm aiming properly, adjusting for the fact that this enemy Roon is, definitely adjusting his throttle, but I also don't want to present broadsides to the Roon. I'm in an ideal situation now, though, where I can fire my two rear cannons, or two rear turrets, at the enemy Roon while presenting basically a pretty small target. We're down to pretty low health now. I did earn myself a nice Confederate medal there, too, so that's not too bad. Continue with the high explosive, with the armor piercing. You can see the Roon returns with high explosive, which I thought was a pretty goofy move on that player's behalf, but it's not. It's quite a good move here, especially considering obviously I'm giving him a smaller target. His shots come in, set me on fire. Now he took some huge hits there. I'm not 100% sure from what ship, but that was huge hits there. Really surprised me. So now I'm down to almost no health. In 5 seconds, I will have my repair or heal ability back up, which is fantastic. And I did manage to put out the Roon's fire, but if the Roon sets me on fire again, shit will go down real quickly here. So able to heal, so I start healing myself. We can see shots coming in from the enemy Roon. Enemy Roon sets me on fire. Damn it. This is exactly what I didn't need. So now I am trying to play the defense here. In the meantime, the enemies have gone ahead and managed to cap all 3 caps. They don't have a significant lead in terms of overall points, but where their lead lies is in the caps, right? It's going to take a lot for us to get in here and cap, and if we look around, I'm on really low health, and so far, I've been playing a fairly, not to toot my own horn, I don't want to, sound all conceited and whatnot, but I did play, a pretty significant role up until this point, but I do have to step back, and it's at this point, too, when I'm looking around and and you see in chat there what Buddy had said, 2 full health Tirpitzes on my team, and it's like, what? There are full health battleships on my team? What is going on? And it's then that I'm realizing that the enemy the allied Tirpitzes who were behind C the entire time, just sniped it out the whole time. So a little aggravated there. Anyway, got a nice citadel on the Miyoko. One of my allies comes in, finishes off the Miyoko. Fantastic. Not too shabby at all. We do have an enemy cruiser off here in the distance that we do still want to be careful about. It's the enemy Roon. We want to approach this guy very carefully. Obviously this enemy Roon player is not stupid, right? The player obviously knows how to play his Roon, so we want to give this guy a wide berth. Make sure that I'm not going solo on, not only because I have basically no hit points remaining, but even if I did, it would cost a lot of hit points to take this player down alone, and we saw a brief moment of that, when I first spotted the Roon and when we first initially engaged. So allies take down the Roon. Fantastic, good job. We managed to cap C because finally the Tirpitzes on my team have decided now is the time to push forward, and I suppose it ends up working out, but my god. Anyway, we managed to cap C. Friendly Tirpitzes are moving in now. We only have 2 enemy ships remaining, both enemy cruisers, so this isn't too bad. I've got the enemy Baltimore coming up here around this island, so I'm going to line up on this player, hoping to finish the player off, right? I'd really like to get myself a kill. I'm up to about 152,000 damage, which isn't too bad at all. 1 enemy ship now, and then my shots go in, do a bit of damage. I do manage to get myself a high caliber, which isn't too bad, but you can see my shots were aimed too high. Now we put another shot here into the enemy Baltimore, and yeah, no damage at all. So I mean, the enemy Baltimore rather I should say, does have some armor to it, right? You just have to angle it pretty decently. If you give a broadside, it's all over. But if you angle in a Baltimore, you might get stand a better chance anyway. The enemy team is still winning in overall points, but because they only have the 1 enemy ship remaining, all we have to do is take out this enemy Baltimore, and then we can call this victory. So excellent. Can't wait. This was, a pretty hard-fought battle here. Things happened fairly quickly, and it just so happened that I turned out with, 2547, so 2,547 hit points remaining. Shots go into the Baltimore. no damage once again. I'm sitting here like, what is going on? Come on. I just want one kill this game. I think that would be, you know, pretty well deserved. Shots go in there, about 7,000 more damage. Allies come in, finish off the Baltimore, and we've won. Fantastic. Ugh. I mean, it was a pretty good comeback. Fairly epic, I'd say. You know, and hard fought. I mean, by the time that I had this victory, I had been playing ships for a little while, and it was like, all right, I need a little break here. So taking a look at the overall results, we can see 358,000 credits. I got the Confederate High Caliber and the Dreadnought for all their heals. 161,000 damage, 6 citadels, no kills, but the damage was there. Second overall in the team. Somehow one of the friendly Tirpitzes managed to get first overall, and I believe that would be from to do cap points. We can see how the damage is broken down here amongst the various enemy ships. Yeah, damage was spread out over everywhere, over, you know, most of the enemy team, which, you know, obviously resulted in the Confederate. When all said and done, we walk away with 145,000 credits, which is not too shabby at all, because it's plus 200 experience in ships at this, or 200% experience, whatever they want to call it now, in ships. You know, I do end up walking away with a little over 10,000 experience, which isn't too bad. At this point in time, it's all free experience, and we can see the battle in the Hiryu that I just fought was a loss, and I lost money. Yeah, great. No, actually, I didn't lose money in that one. Good. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.